Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to 2 Kings chapter 7, in which there are 20 verses. Beginning in verse 2, we read the word floodgates. Floodgates versus windows. The footnote in the Greek, it reads shall versus might. So might this thing be, or shall this thing be? Continuing on in verse 4, in regards to die. If they should put us to death, then we shall only die. Versus, if they kill us, we shall but die. Verse 5, while it was yet night, versus in the twilight. So in the nighttime versus when the sun has set or after sunset. The footnote for the Greek reads in the dark. So it certainly was in the nighttime or in the dark, not when there was still light. And then the footnote reads for this part, there was no man there, as there is no man there. But we know that in both translations, the conjugation is all over the place. It's not necessarily as it's not as sure as it may seem. It depends on the translator, really. And then it says here a part of the camp of Syria versus the uttermost part. Verse 7, yet dark. Again, it's still dark. It's nighttime. Verses in the twilight. Verse 8, a little way into the camp versus to the uttermost part of the camp. So just a little way inside the camp versus all the way to the other end, or the extreme ends, whether it's the beginning or the end of the camp. There's an addition of went and hid. Went and hid is added. There are two, you'll notice two instances where it says went and hid, but there was one that was added. Verse 9, shall find some mischief. Versus mischief shall come upon us. It says shall find mischief. Let us go into the city. Okay, I'm not sure if that was added. Now therefore come, that we may go. That we may go. Okay. I think that was omitted. Next is verse 11. All right, verse 11, continuing on, it says, the porters cried aloud, versus he called the porters. Verse 13, they are the number left to all. Right there. Verses, oh, they didn't complete the sentence. They are the number left to all the multitude of Israel. Verses, behold, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. Okay, let's try that verse again. Verse 13. They are the number left. Behold, they are the number left to all the multitude of Israel. Verses, behold, I say, they are even as all the multitude of the Israelites that are consumed. So one is saying the number remaining versus the number that has been consumed, that have not remained. So quite the opposite, you could say. Verse 14, 2 horsemen versus 2 chariot horsemen. 2 chariot horses, to be exact. Okay. So one has horsemen, one are just horses. Verse 15, our first significant difference in this chapter, it says, panic, cast away in their panic. So they were not only in a rush, they were also fearful. Versus cast away in their haste. So they're simply hurrying, not so much that there was an element of fear involved. Verse 17, we see an addition of to have charge. He leaned to have the charge of the gate. And our first big difference of this chapter, it says, when the messenger came down to him, versus who spake when the king came down to him. So which one is true? Let's look at verse 2 for the proof. Was it the messenger who came down to him, or was it the king himself who came down? So verse 2, drum roll. The officer on whose hand the king rested answered Elisha and said, behold. So who is this? Is this the king? No, it's his officer. It's his messenger. It's not the king himself. So we just proved the Septuagint correct in the matter of verse 18. Or is it verse 17? No, it's verse 17. The man of God had said, who spoke when the messenger came down to him, not when the king came down. Okay, so last verse. That is the last verse. So thank you very much for your time. Until next time, I'll bid you Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.